Sabotage! How is Oscar Piastri so far off of the pace of Lando Norris? It just doesn't make sense, is what you would all probably love me to say, and is what a lot of Oscar Piastri's fans are currently saying online at the moment. And I feel like I had to make this video to just call this out, because there is a theme that has been going on for quite some time in F1 now, where of course, very passionate F1 fans, and it's brilliant that fans are passionate and they back their driver through tooth and nail, and normally through thick and thin. But it is a trend that is going on that there is a blindness to drivers' poor performances and looking for any excuse other than their driver having just an off weekend. That's what we're experiencing right now from many Oscar Piastri fans, and you do have a right to question it, of course, because the gap is very uncharacteristically large. The largest gap it has been all season between the two teammates, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. 6 tenths is massive. However, there is reasons for that. Now, yes, you can get into the whole conspiracy route, and I love a good conspiracy, and I'm not saying that there hasn't been some skullduggery that has occurred in the past in F1 between teammates and inter-team battles and so forth, because there most undoubtedly has. And of course, in the garage, the McLaren side, whether it be Lando or Piastri, and just back at the factory, there of course are going to be preferences of who employees want to win the championship. However, I do genuinely believe that they have the same car right now, and their main focus is to ensure that both of their drivers have the best opportunity to win the championship. It would be criminal if either of those do not win the championship and allow Max to steal it. That is what they want right now, and there's nothing more that they would love better for both of their drivers to be starting on the front row tomorrow, but it's just not the case. But Sabotage is very strong, and I think what we have seen here is that Oscar Piastri has arrived at a circuit at a particular time where he is not got a lot of confidence, as I've already touched on in a previous video from the mental aspect of things, but arguably this is probably his weakest circuit on the calendar. Many are forgetting that in 2024, last season, when McLaren were arguably the fastest car on the grid at the time, they were very close with Ferrari, and of course Ferrari secured pole position and won this race last year. But Lando was very close to them as well. And where did Oscar qualify? He qualified 17th. That is a clear indication, if not already, and a very relative data point to suggest that this is not a good track for Oscar. And well, if you don't believe me and you still think, no, there's something going on, well, Andrea Stella, the team principal of McLaren, where many Oscar Piastri fan actually state prefers Piastri over Lando Norris, if you want to go down that route, has actually come out in post-qualifying interviews and reiterated the same sentiment there. And these are his exact words from those interviews. The fastest car is a car that needs to be driven in a certain way, especially when you have conditions like here, and to some extent in Austin, with hot tarmac, sliding tyres. And the way in which you generate lap time is a way that comes relatively naturally for Lando, and less naturally for Oscar. Lando is the driver of going on low grip, end of the stint when the tyres are quite worn, the grip is low, it's where we see Lando go green sector, green sector, green sector. Oscar instead is more of a driver of high grip. That's where he can exploit this incredible talent. At the same time, we don't have to forget that while we talk about the leader in the Drivers' Championship, he's not even finished a 3rd season in Formula 1. So experiencing situations like we have here and in Austin is how you actually calibrate yourself as a driver. Every session is learning a little bit as to what you need to do, what you need to feel to say, I'm fast now in these specific conditions, which conversely are more natural conditions for Lando. So nothing to worry about. I think it's more a calibration exercise for Oscar. I'm sure this calibration will pay off already in the race and in any future event in which the regime in which the tyre and the car interact with the tarmac is similar to here. So overall, Oscar has a definite weakness in his driving style at the moment in F1, in only his 3rd season, which comes to low grip surfaces, low grip tracks, whereas Lando has a lot more years experience than him. He's in what, his 7th year of F1 right now, compared to Oscar Piastri's 3rd. So Oscar has made, of course, leaps and bounds when it comes to his development and his growth as an F1 driver, hence why he's leading the World Championship still as we head into the race later on this evening as I'm recording this. So he isn't still the full finish package. There are areas for him to address, and he even has kind of reiterated that he doesn't understand yet why he's so slow. He's losing time quite evidently across the whole race circuit here, and that is why the gap is so large right now, is that he is losing a little bit of time through every single corner. And if you watch his laps, he is more the rear of that McLaren is definitely a lot more active than it is in Lando's hands, and that is through driving style. I don't think it's due to sabotage and through the cars being very different. We will get on to why the cars could be different right now, but I have information from someone secondhand from inside McLaren that actually says that the cars are equal. Their main focus is to beat Max, as I mentioned at the start of this video. But Oscar is losing time across every single corner here, little by little, and this track as well, with how many slow corners there are, particularly in the stadium section, as we saw from many drivers, it is so easy to lose a significant amount of time here that would be more exaggerated than at other circuits. Whereas at other circuits, it may be that Oscar is only, say, a 10th off or even less than that. Here, it is massively exaggerated because of the slow nature of those corners. It's very difficult to recover that time and minimize it. In the stadium section, we have seen many drivers lose 4 tenths, even half a second comfortably, just by going a bit deep into turn 12 and into turn 13, which is the actual stadium corner itself, right in the middle of the stadium, because of just how slow it is and how rear limited it is. And that is what Oscar has struggled with here this weekend, even with an additional practice session. So it's a weakness that he clearly has to work on himself moving forward as a driver, not just for his championship chances in the remaining races, but also for his whole career, because it's a very long season and there are enough low grip tracks that it could be the be all and end all when it comes to, of course, winning a championship and not. But why would the cars be different? Well, the only way the cars, I think, would be different right now, my own logic behind this, is whether there is, yes, as many have said, there is maybe a cracked chassis or so forth. I don't believe that's the case, but let's say there is a cracked chassis. Why would there be a cracked chassis? It would be because he crashed in Baku and because he crashed in Circuit of the Americas. So they've had to put old chassis back on or old parts back on that aren't necessarily brand spanking new. And we know that the development for these cars has paused, particularly from the McLaren side. What they've got now, parts-wise, is what they've got to the end of the season. So there's not going to be any updates or any brand new parts coming to the team. So that is self-inflicted, in my opinion. So if you are claiming that there is a cracked chassis or that there is something that is broken on Piastri's car, well, that's self-inflicted. That is your driver's error and his fault. So that is most undoubtedly not sabotage. And I think, look, it's all well and good you supporting your driver, backing them through thick and thin and backing them through the tough times, as I think you should, as any true fan should. But also, give some credit where it's due. I know it's tough, but give some credit where it's due to your opponents. Have some respect to the level of performance that your competitors can put out there. I know many people, Piastri fans in particular, don't like Lando. He is your rival, he's your competitor right now. But that was a really, really good lap, and he's clearly shown where his strength is in relation to Piastri and where he has the better of him. And he could be leading the championship at the end of this weekend. And, well, who knows? That may be a good thing for Oscar Piastri, because it might be a reset for him, and he then becomes the chaser, as I mentioned in my previous video on the mental aspect that Piastri is in right now. So it has come, this track, at a terrible time for him because of the poor run of form that he's been on, and let's see how he fares in the race. Do expect him to maybe make a couple of positions up, but sabotage, you're clutching, really, to be honest with you. Just accept that they're human, these racing drivers, and they have some certain tracks where they prefer and some certain tracks that they dislike. And we know that racing is a confidence game, and if you don't feel confident in a race car, it's very, very easy to lose time, and a lot of time at that, even when you have been so good for the majority of this season. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say, and I feel like I had to add an extra video and an extra touch on things. Just have some humility, guys, and just accept that these drivers do have weaknesses, and sometimes, yeah, they can be exaggerated, especially when your main championship rival is when your weakness is there. He's at his strongest, and that's why that gap is so large as it is. So yeah, hopefully see you for the watch along.